they're picking each other, but they put some spiritual aspect on her. I don't like this black lady. That was what she said. God said that who chose his and her? Why you worry about that? You just be obedient. They put some spirituality into that. Chapter 13. You know the famous story, the giants. They selected, the general body called and said, let us go and explore the land now. We are almost here, we have to conquer now. But we want to go and see what kind of land is that. They selected 12 people from 12 tribes and 12 of them went. They drove their fort over there, drove around the land and went to all the places. They put all these things in the truck and bring it back. And they said, Moses, what you said is right. But whatever you say after but is nothing. So he said all other things was good. He said, but there is giants there. Before them we looked like grasshoppers. They didn't call them, hey grasshopper, come here. They saw themselves as grasshoppers. That was the problem. Then they are afraid of the giants. Joshua and Caleb said, no, our God is bigger than the giants. This is an opportunity to one more to see the power of God. They are afraid of the enemy over there. Chapter 14, complaining continues over there. Now, what is the reason of complaining? That night all the people of community raised their voices and wept after hearing the report from the 10 people. All the Israelites grumbled against Moses. Now they are grumbling because everybody is grumbling. Chapter 16, it continues again. Now their complaining is against the authority, the leadership. They are asking only God speak only through you. We know Greek, why don't you speak through us also? That is a problem. They complained over there. That is where you see the Korah and Dathan and Abiram, they complain. Let us look at the record you see in your chart there. What is the complaining? One place you see the reason, the other place that you see the result of it also. Chapter 11, they want pleasure. Chapter 11, verse 4, they want provision. 12, they want prestige, then protection, peer approval, power, and now they want somebody to place their blame upon people. There is no advantage of complaining at all. After seeing all these things the Lord has done, what are they doing? Whenever they have a problem, their reaction is always complaining. So what was the result of it? Chapter 11, that we see the fire came from God, the plague that came, the leprosy that affected Miriam, and the 40 years of wandering because of complaining, unbelief. Then 10 spies were killed and the plague came. So why complaining is bad? One thing that you see is that the attitude is the key over here. You can change your circumstances bitter or better by your attitude. It is very important. So that is the way you see that. Joshua and Caleb saw this as an opportunity, but these 10 spies, those who become spineless, they saw it as an obstacle. Right? That is the difference that we see over there. So Joshua and Caleb, it was not a problem. It was God's provision again. But for them, they saw it as a problem. It is all based upon our attitude, these people. So complaining is a choice. Why complaining is bad? Because it is contagious. It is contagious. What happened? You see that? One person started to complain, the next person, yeah, I also thought that, but I didn't say that, nobody said anything. So then the third person here, what happened? This just goes like a fire. It goes like that. Complaining is contagious. It is a sin. Why it is sin? Because you are not trusting God and His provision. We are asking, their question is always asking that, why you brought us here? Why you brought us here? That is the question they always ask. It is sin. Sin always separates us from God. The list you see that. The list you see. When you come to chapter 16, this is the generation. Because of their complaining, God becomes so angry with them. But you can see one important nature of Moses in each place. Even though he said he is the meekest person, each time Moses was lying down before God, he was crying unto the Lord, and he is interceding for these people. That's what we see. Chapter 17 now. Now the Lord said to Moses, chapter 16, they complained against Aaron and his authority and all. And chapter 17, that God says that the Lord said to Moses, speak to the Israelites and get 12 staffs from them, one from leader of each. That is what we see. Get the Aaron's budded rod. Finally, I kept there at night. What happened morning? It was budded. It was blossom that we see over there in chapter 17. Go further, we see chapter 19, the cleansing water. Chapter 20, yeah. water from the rock. Here is another important story to remember when we come to Deuteronomy. In the first month of whole Israelite community arrived in the desert of Sin, and they stayed at Kadesh. 3 there Miriam and died and was buried. Who is Miriam? Sister of Moses. That is another death that happens over here. And Moses and Aaron went from the assembly to the entrance to the tent meeting, verse 6, and fell face down. This is what I said. This is the 7th time that we read that he face down before the Lord. That was the nature of Moses. Then Lord said to Moses, take the staff, and you and your brother Aaron gather the assembly together. Speak to that rock, because there was no water. What did he say? Speak to that rock before their eyes, and it will pour out its water. You will bring water out of the rock for the community, so they and their livestock can drink. So because they are complaining, they are complaining, they are murmuring against God. Now Moses got so angry. Verse 9. So Moses took the staff from the Lord's presence, just as he commanded him. He and Aaron gathered the assembly together in front of the rock, and Moses said to them, listen, you rebels. Call these people. Must we bring you water out of this rock? Then Moses raised his arm and struck the rock twice. What was God's command? Speak. I always imagine like this, because if you are slow to speak and you get angry, what happened? God asked him to speak. I think that he was going to speak. He said, so coming. What? 2 times he was angry also. When you're angry, my grandfather got stuttering mouth, so he upset. The words won't come out at all. He just hold it there for some time. He stuck. He couldn't control his anger. Moses had some anger issues from the beginning itself that we see. That's why he had to run away from Egypt once. So that continued long time. What happened? Anger and danger is so close. There's only one letter you put before anger. What happened? You get danger. So that happened. That destroyed his destiny. Why? But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, because you did not trust in me enough to honor me as holy in the sight of the Israelites, you will not bring this community to the land I give them. The water came out, by the way, but what happened? There was a consequence for them. Sometimes God may use us even though you live in obedience. That is God's grace. It means that God's approval upon us. Very important, remember that. Some people, I have seen that many years that people try to speak in tongues in between and see that still the anointing is there or not. Because they know they are living in a willful sin. You speak in tongues doesn't mean that God approves you. You can speak anything you want to. But remember that God's approval is something different. That is only those who obey the Lord, walk with the Lord. Then we see that then the water that came out, but he had to pay a big price in that. Chapter 20, the death of Aaron. Chapter 20, verse 22. There we see that Eleazar, Aaron will be gathered to his people and he will die there. God talk about Aaron's death. Chapter 21. Again, when the Canaanite king of Arad, who lived in the Negev, heard that Israel was coming along the road to Atharim, he attacked the Israelites and captured some of them. Then Israel made this vow to the Lord, if you will deliver these people into our hands, we will totally destroy their cities. And they completely destroyed them and their towns, so the place was named Hormah. They traveled from Mount Hor along the route to Red Sea to go around Edom. But the people grew impatient on the way. Look at these people. These people are very nice people. They get impatient. What are they impatient about? They spoke against God and against Moses and said, why have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the desert? 2 things. Again, death and food. Why you brought us here? To die in the desert. There is no bread. No panira bread here. There is no water. And we taste this miserable food. All of us in that become miserable. Right? So people come to church, they are very boring. Right? Ravi Zachariah said like this, if you are bored with God, even God has no other alternatives. Some people are bored with the church. What happened? God has no other alternative. These people, this is miserable now. They had nothing there, remember that. Now God is giving something. They say that it is miserable. Then the Lord sent venomous snakes among them. They bite the people and many Israelites died. You see about the bronze serpent in chapter 21. You read along with John chapter 3. You have the notes in there, I believe, that you can look into that. And the people came to Moses and said, we sinned Then we spoke against the Lord and against you. Pray that the Lord will take the snakes away from us. So Moses prayed for the people. The Lord said to Moses, make a snake, put it upon a pole. Anyone who is bitten can look at it and live. So Moses made a bronze snake and put it upon a pole. Then when anyone was bitten by a snake and looked at the bronze snake, the beautiful explanation of gospel that we see here. The snake is the one who bite them, they die. God says that make another snake. The man who sinned, Jesus became the last Adam. He became a man and came to this world. Look at the snake and live. This is foolishness. Yes, gospel is foolishness. Those who perish, but those who believe, this is a power unto salvation. John chapter 3. Read that along with that. You get the commentary what Jesus says about Numbers chapter 21. When you come to chapter 22 to 25, we get an interesting character called Balaam. 22 through 25. Because the people, the enemies of the people of God, they tried so many different ways. But what happened? They couldn't succeed. Now they know that the people of Israel are coming, what the Lord is doing for them and through them, so they want to oppose that. So they hired a prophet. But you see that Balaam was a greedy prophet. He used his talents to make money and profit. But the New Testament gives 3 warnings about Balaam later. That is important to us also. What does it say? It's talk about the way of Balaam. 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 15.
Forsaking the right way, they have gone astray, having followed the way of Balaam.
Balaam's way was, he was prostituted the gift for gain. He thought he can use his gift for his own money, and he was a covetous man. He commercialized his office. You ever heard that people say that you send me $100, I will pray for you 2 weeks. Ever heard that? Yeah, they are a false prophet. Don't send money to them. That is not right. That's not what it is. He are trying to use the gift that God has given to them to make money. That's what he did. Then we see the error of Balaam, Jude 11. And the error of Balaam was, he thought that God had to curse the people of Israel by hearing him. He couldn't survive. He couldn't, bring curse upon them. The 3 great prophecies, even though he was greedy, he talked about God and Israel was very meaningful. He's the one who said God is not a man that he can lie. That's such a way that we see. But we see what happened to him later that he died. And the doctrine of Balaam, he encouraged the people, he counseled Balak, the enemy of the people of Israel, and they can have intermarriage, and they can have sexual sin and immorality, so people can weaken their morality easily to defeat them. That was a good thing he did. I mean that is the right thing. He find out, they did. That is true. If there is sin in us, we are able to stand against the enemy. We will lose our confidence in God. That is what the enemy will attack. After 22 to 25, they tried to do that, they couldn't do it. So we finished 2 parts of Numbers. Number 1 that we see, the first generation, 6,03,550 people, men alone between 20 and 50. Chapter 10 that we saw how they organize, how they move all of this. Chapter 11 through 25 that we see the oppositions, mainly that we see their wanderings, and because of their complaining and murmuring and unbelief, or all those things are happening. Now we come to the last part of the book, the new generation, chapter 26. After the plague, the Lord said to Moses, Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, take a census of the whole Israelite community by families. That everybody was gone now, that the new generation is coming up. Take a census. All those 20 years old or more who are able to serve in the army of Israel. So on the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho, Moses, Eleazar the priest, spoke with them and said, take a census of men 20 years old or more, as the Lord commanded Moses. Finally they counted. We see chapter 26 is the counting. The last number we get on verse 51. The second census. Verse 51. The total number of the men of Israel was 6,01,730 people now. So what happened to other people? All the people, those who had unbelief, those who had rebelled against God, they all perished in the wilderness. God wait for a generation to come, those who believe in Him. The new census, 38 years is passed by now. All the things that in between that we happened, we have much detail, but we have seen all these things happen. Chapter 27, now God make a new leader, verse 12, 27 verse 12. Then the Lord said to Moses, Go up to the mountain in Ephraim range and see the land I have given the Israelites. After you have seen it, you too will be gathered to your people, as your brother Aaron was. For when the community rebelled at the waters of desert of Sin, both of you disobeyed my command to honor me as holy before their eyes. God says that you cannot go because you didn't honor my word. And these were the waters of Meribah earlier that we have seen in chapter 20. Moses said to Lord, may the Lord, the God of the spirits of all mankind, appoint a man over his community to go out and come in before them, one who will lead them out and bring them in, so the Lord's people will not be like sheep without a shepherd. So the Lord said to Moses, take Joshua the son of Nun, a man in whom is a spirit, and lay your hand on him, have him stand before Eleazar the priest and the entire assembly and commission him. What happened here? Moses is going to die. God says that, but the transition should happen, because the work belonged to God. I may die tonight or tomorrow or 20 years from now, or I may move from here, but the church belongs to God. And you and I, all of us are like that. That's why we work hard here. When a new generation come, new people come, there should be a foundation for God and for His glory. If it is God's work, that should continue. That's what we see over here. And a new appointment that is happening. The transition actually that happened in 34, the chapter of Deuteronomy. But there we get the glimpse of it over there. So chapter 28 to 30, more instructions were given about the sacrifices, about the 7 festivals that is given that we are talking about in Leviticus. Alright, fast forward to chapter 32. Now, some of the tribes, the Reubenites and Gadites, they said they don't want to go to the other side. They are pretty big, so we are settled down here. Why don't you allow us to stay there? So they had no desire to cross the Jordan to Canaan. That is, they landed over there with some resistance from Moses. They leave there. Chapter 33, when you get time, if you don't have the time to read the entire Numbers, this will give you all the stops and all the places, the itinerary of the people of Israel. Here are the stages in the journey. 3 stages mainly that we see. From Ramses to Sinai, chapter 33, verse 5 through 15. We can write over there. The first stage, chapter 33, verses 5 through 15. Ramses to Sinai. There is 11 stages that is mentioned over there. The second phase, from Sinai to Kadesh, that is verses 16 through 36. Then from Kadesh to plain of Moab, that's what we're going to see in the evening. Verse 37. They left Kadesh and camped at Mount Hor, on the border of Edom. At the Lord's command, Aaron the priest went up Mount Hor, where he died on the first day of the 5th month of the 40th year. How many years passed by now? 40 years already is passing here. After the Israelites came out of Egypt, Aaron was 120 years old when he died on the Mount Hor. We believe that Moses wrote the Psalms 90 at the death of his brother, and he has seen so many people those who are dying in the wilderness. He wrote about the eternality of God and the brevity of man. He compared those things in Psalms 90 that we see also over there. Then we come to chapter 34, the boundaries of the land is given. So God says that where they are going to live and how they are going to stay in the new land that is going to be given to them. Chapter 35, we see about 6 cities, about a city of refuge, because the judicial system was in place over there. And how do they do for them is that, because there's a police, somebody accidentally kills someone else, how they do it? They are able to go and run to this city of refuge until the case is properly investigated and did all kinds of things. And that is the details that we see in chapter 35, the city of refuge. Chapter 36, the inheritance of the people came and asked for a special inheritance that is given over there. Chapter 36. The last verse of chapter 36, these are the commands, regulations the Lord gave through Moses to the Israelites on the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho. So 40 years passed by. They traveled from Exodus chapter 12. They moved, went through all these things. Finally, on the 40th year, they came to the plain of Moab.